This is the Lydian spin, and you know we're not going to stop. But we would appreciate any help we can get because, look, our mouths do not run on gas and air alone, occasionally food and drink. So if you wouldn't mind contributing, no contribution, too large or too small, because we're just going to keep going whether or not you help us out. Your gain, your loss.
The PayPal is paypal.me/TSD1975. That's paypal.me/TSD1975.
It would help. We're going to keep going. You know, we don't like to beg, and certainly we're not, but actually, it's a fucking command. Take it or leave it. Thank you. This is the Lydian Spin. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch and Tim Dahl, presently in Atlanta.
At the Earl.
At the Earl, where I'm on a mini tour with JT Habersack, comedy and tragedy. Tim and I just came from Miami, where we did a killer show at Churchill's.
Yes.
And we're having a damn good time. How you doing, Timothy?
I'm doing well. You know, it was nice to be in Miami, see some friends, and the show was great. And it's good to see Churchill's open again. And it was just fun to hang with you. And now I'm doing mini emceeing, a little mini tour managing, and
Timmy Tech is doing question and answer after some of the shows.
And maximum hanging. So yeah, we did Orlando, then Jacksonville last night, and now we're in Atlanta. And it's been.
And I love what Tim says we did, because really he is being the MC, the Timmy Tech, and we're having a great time because why the fuck not? It's what we do.
Well, in Miami, I played bass, but yes.
It was amazing.
Anyhow, so here we are.
I have never seen more frickin' cops on the road in Georgia or anywhere in my whole life than other than today. Of course, we keep it on the DL. We were cool.
A lot of pullovers, a lot of county sheriffs.
No idea what they were looking for. Not us.
A crime? I don't know.
Come on in.
Hold on, we have someone here.
Come on in. Wait, are they locked out? No, come on in.
We're in the middle of a podcast, so
that's all right. Come on in, babes. We got friends and family.
All right, so here's a story.
Babes.
Sperm donor.
Oh shit.
In Europe was basically fathered over 200 kids. They found out he had a cancer-causing recessive gene, and it's been a disaster. Now, the way they found out is just like, well, CDC, we're here in Atlanta, but health organizations start looking at cancer clusters, and they started seeing it in all these kids, and they linked it back to this sperm bank that this guy was going to for 17 years.
Ouch.
And so that's being investigated, but
okay, it brings me back to my main mantra. The morality of my existence is procreation needs to be abated, vasectomy should be mandatory, abortion should be free, and procreation is vain at this point. If you want to spend $1 million raising a child, I can be very immature. I won't suck your left or right tit. I'm right here. I'm just saying, really be careful what you wish for.
Well, it's funny because in Miami, some girl in the audience was mad about that point that you basically made. And my hunch was she's kind of like one of these Zoomers that got caught into the whole rabbit hole of like Charlie Kirk or something.
Well, what was strange is she's like, I believe in God. I don't think the devil is a woman, and I believe in procreation. Now, I don't care what you believe in, but when you say you believe in procreation, I tried to kick her ass out because, like, if that's what you believe in, you can do it. But you know what? I don't, for a variety of reasons. Like, the world has enough people. It's very vain to do that. I don't care the best of you, and I know it is a biological mandatory urge from women when they reach 35, but I don't get what her problem was.
Yeah,
I think she was a Kirker cunt.
Well, I don't understand what she's trying to
accomplish.
Well, yeah, because I mean, people are going to have children all the time. I mean, that's not
but
stopping.
You don't have to come back and say you believe in things. I don't believe in your God, what your grandfather in a toga condemning his only begotten son to torture and wanting the rest of us to suffer for the life we want to leave. Bullshit. The devil, if you believe in God, you might believe in the devil. When I say if there's a devil, I wish he's a woman. If you don't understand what I'm saying, you're a knucklehead. Or maybe an onion head.
All right. I was telling this story actually last night. I it dawned on me that this book I read as a child was some kind of agricultural propaganda. We all know the folk story about Johnny Appleseed. Well, there's a book called Onion John, and they're trying to like sell the idea. It had to have been for like the onion agriculture industry, and they had this story. And I was like 7 or 8, and it was like Onion John would go in this onion patch, and these onions were as sweet as apples. He would take a bite. So I'm 7. I go to my mom's fridge and take a bite of an onion. And I'm like, oh my God.
The worst apple I've ever had.
So yeah, I don't
Jimmy Onion Head.
don't read Onion John.
Jimmy Onion Head. I mean, that's horrific.
But I do like the idea of agricultural propaganda.
Let me see. It's a seed, not a sperm seed.
All right. Well, some other
need to grow. Babies go adopt.
Well, one of my favorite facts about this planet: sharks were around longer than trees by like 100 million years, which is really funny. Maybe 150.
My only sexual fantasies are involving sharks at the moment.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to say.
No, it's fine. I love sharks.
Well, wait, Tim. You and I did one night in a hotel watch The Shark Whisperer.
Yeah, that's one of the dumbest things ever, but I enjoyed it.
I was not dumb. She saved a lot of sharks from being murdered.
I don't think the shark doesn't think. The shark is more. It's maybe good. It doesn't think. It lasted. Oh yeah,
a year?
Yeah. We kill over 100 million sharks a year.
You don't want that to happen.
And sharks kill under 100 people a year.
And you know what? I've never heard of a shark serial killer yet. Till I breed with one, maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Well, you mean killing humans?
Someone was asking me last night if I'd like to have sex with a dolphin. I go, well, a pink one, they're kind of sexy, but come on. I mean, I'm sticking to sharks.
Well, the pink ones, those are in the Amazon. I actually saw those things. Yeah, I mean, sure.
But I'm just saying.
Speaking of water, the latest, there's a new theory that Parkinson's disease is not in our genes and it's actually in the water.
Oh,
and
which water?
Well, they've obviously with the Navy are doing all types of experiments in water, and they've started noticing Parkinson's disease clusters in certain rivers and all this stuff. I have to read more about it, but
Michael J. Fox, we got to talk.
Yeah, well, he might not be able to, but
I think he can still talk.
Okay.
The thing is, waterways are poison. We live between 3 of the most poisonous: Hudson River, Gowanus Canal, and Newton Creek. Larger underground oil spill than the Exxon Valdez. We're safe so far, but you know what?
And there's different variations. There's different variations on Parkinson's disease. Well, Parkinson's disease is ALS, right? Yeah. It's I'm sorry. Of course, that's what it is. I mean, I always find it quote unquote funny, the rumors that Stephen Hawking was abusive to his lovers, but like in a wheelchair, like do the dishes, goddamn bitch, like with like one of these robot voices, like that was kind of the word. That was kind of the word.
Not to defend any kind of abuse, male to female, female to male, but if you're in a wheelchair, you're a genius trapped in a body that has disintegrated. You might get a bit fucking cranky.
Well, yeah, you're pissed off. You can't like have a good time.
Come on, I think you'd have enough money to like bitch at. Again, you should not complain to the housekeeper, but why are you complaining to a wife who could push you down the stairs and kill you? What are you, idiot? You're a genius. Stop it.
All right.
All right.
We have a guest that's pretty brilliant, and
we got to tie this up because I got a show to do with JT Habersack. That would be comedy and tragedy. But our guest this evening, I'm very happy. Harley Flanagan, Life of Chaos, came out of it. Jiu-jitsu master, started New York hardcore, and we will eventually take to the stage hardcore versus hardcore. This is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch, Jim Dahl, and our guest, Harley Flanagan.
Okay. All right. Does that work? Does that sound
works fine?
Harley, I'm going to do a little intro, then we're just going to chat. Okay, my friend?
Okay. All right. Do you, and just let me know, and I'm here. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you. Trust me, you'll know. This is the Lydia and Spin with Lydia Lunch. Tim Dahl, and I don't even know how to describe the king of hardcore. And by the way, when I say hardcore, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, people may not understand, at least according to me, what hardcore is. I think hardcore, whether expressed in music or literature, film or art, it has its roots in anger and frustration, but its soul lies in compassion and the need to allow others to know they are not alone. That's why we do what we do. So we have Harley Flanagan, author, great book. We'll talk about that. King of hardcore in the New York scene, Cro-Mags, drummer at 12, Stimulators, uh, co-photoed in his wife's cookbook, Hardcore Vegetarianism. And I have to say, why I came to you, Harley, it was a tripleplex. I got your book from Feral House, which is republishing my cookbook. I got the Hardcore Vegetarianism. That's two. And then three, I saw something you posted, which I share with you, which is no one will let us open for them. So I suggest to you, hardcore versus hardcore, which would be me and you. I don't know if the world's ready, but welcome, my friend, to the show.
Well, you know what? The world may not be ready, but I am. So, let's make it happen.
You guys open for each other. I mean, Stimulators played with Teenage Jesus and the Jerks, according to him.
No, you are right about that, but I do believe that was right before I joined the band.
Okay.
So I don't remember that.
No, they had. Well, you would have if I was with them. So that's why.
Trust me on that, because as a 12-year-old, and actually, we're almost the same age.
Yeah, I got you beat by a little bit, not much, but I came in the door. It was, I mean, Hilly did not want to let me into CB's,
I got in at 16, you were 12.
Yeah. I mean, but at 16, chicks can get away with shit like that. At
Honey,
12, no one's supposed to be no one's really supposed to be even on the block of CBGBs back then. I mean, come on.
Nobody ever asked us anything. So I love
he
your
didn't want to
book.
let me in, to be fair. God, to be fair, Hilly did not want to let me in.
But well, they wanted to let me in.
Yeah, well,
I wonder why. Okay. Anyway, you were cuter than I was because whatever. Your book, Life of My Own, also on Feral House, which I just was in Cleveland with Christina Ward reshooting my cookbook, which is going to come out next year, The Need to Feed. Your book is great because what I really loved, and your documentary is amazing as well, which I just finished. Because look, I've always been laying it on the line about just chronic abuse within and without from all sides and raging against it. And it's very rare for a man to actually admit what you admitted and what it made you and how you've become the man you are. Congratulations.
Well, I'm still evolving. I think I'm
proud of you, my friend.
I'm getting better with time, actually. I don't think I'm there yet, but we're all works in progress, right?
We're all pervs in progress as well, yes.
True that.
When did Lydia always talks about, particularly with girls who've been violated, abused in any form, about teaching young girls how to defend themselves. Now you've dedicated your life to martial arts and self-defense. One thing you dedicate your life to.
Excuse me, black belt, master jiu-jitsu. Let's not underplay that.
Did someone turn to you and said, you know what, maybe you should do this? Or did you just go in your own brain, go, I need to do this?
You know what? I started doing that much later on in life. And I actually, I wish that my family would have been a little bit more into, not necessarily sports, but after school activities, let's just say. But
as opposed to getting beat up by the kids on the block.
For me, like the only option really was like the boys club over on 11th Street or 10th Street, which was not really fun if you were me. It just wasn't. Because as Lydia will tell you, if you were a punk rocker back then, you were pretty much just a walking target, no matter where the fuck you were. And then, magnify that by being a child, which is already a super.
Okay, we had a little, I guess we're just too hot for anything, but we had a little block out for a minute.
So, no, I heard it. I think it was recorded. But
okay, I saw myself, but
I'll repeat to you real quick. in one
Please.
sense. As you'll attest to, back then, if you were a punk rocker, you kind of had a target on you wherever you were in the city. Back then, you kind of stood out, and people would fuck with you a lot. Now, magnify that by just the Lord of the Flies atmosphere of being, a child and being in a place like the boys club.
And I think it's really worse for young guys. I mean, nobody ever fucked with me. I mean, maybe once or twice, but they learned their lesson. But I wasn't getting beat up or harassed. Maybe it was my mini skirt and cowboy boots. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure you
I
also
think it's worse for men in some situations.
I'm sure you also had a few older guys that had your back.
You know what? I had their wallets.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure there was people that would beat
You
people
think
up.
James Chance could have beaten anybody?
No, didn't actually our buddy Phil actually have a incident with Mr. Chance? I don't recall.
I don't know, but one thing I love about him is James Chance once threatened to slit his own throat if he wasn't paid. Now, because he could only beat himself up, nobody else. Phil Cavano, a very good friend of both of ours.
Yeah, love him.
We love him. We love
Yes.
him. And so, but anyway,
and onward.
What was that? Because even with me, I was in Chicago and Gloucester, Massachusetts. Parents were split up, but there would be punk rockers there, and motherfuckers would just want to beat them up. I don't know what the fuck that
fear
was
of
about.
other, fear of other.
It was just the way it was back then. If you were that different and you stood out, you were gonna be a target. I mean, it's funny because at one of the Q&As I did after my film, somewhere in England, I likened it to. I said it must have been what it was like to be gay or tranny back in the day, because like I was friends with like Wayne County, and I know what.
I was a pen pal with Wayne County.
I mean, pre-Jane, when Jane was still, like
Tucker Wayne.
yeah, and I'm just saying, like, so I know what it was like for other people who, I grew up around people like Ginsberg and stuff. So
you grew up in the same building. But let's hang on a minute. Now I got to say this because this is ridiculous. You wrote you are an upstart. You wrote your first book at 7, published at 9, intro by Ginsberg.
Yeah. To be fair, it wasn't much of a book. It was like a couple of paragraphs or like a few sentences. But nonetheless, it is what it is. And I mean, it is some kind
of path was started.
The path was definitely started. But my point that I was making was, like I likened being a punk rocker back then to being anybody that stood out and was like a victim to abuse. Well, you got to remember something. People forget that, unlike in England, in America, punk, the term, especially in New York, meant someone who was basically ass raped in jail.
Yeah.
So if someone called you a punk rocker, to those who didn't know anybody, they were already kind of calling you out. And this is a different time. You got to remember.
Yeah, of course.
So it was like kind of like, it was sort of derogatory, not in a good way, from Jump Street. In England, it might have been like, yeah, he's a little punk. No, over here it meant like you were someone else's bitch, and that wasn't really too cool, especially if you were like a young dude and
12, 13, 14, you
know what I'm saying?
Bondage pants.
And when Dee Dee Ramone was writing songs like, what was it, 53rd and 3rd? That wasn't pretty, yo. So like people forget that, things were pretty grimy back then. And
if you weren't there, you got no idea. And by the way, Wayne County, I wrote me back before I lived in New York. When I ran away the second time, first person I ran into at Mother's Bar, Wayne County. Then we shared years later a common enemy. Don't even ask. And I believe I saw Wayne County as Shane County and Cherry Vanilla maybe in 73, the first time I ran away, in a cabaret uptown. I don't even know how I got there. But this is it. I mean, your history goes so far back in New York, and not only the Bohemian mother who traveled and took you all over the place.
Well, she was a fucking freak show herself. I mean, she's the reason that that Warhol first came in contact with the underground and that whole scene. Lou Reed, like her and her friend, I forget who the fuck it was. Her and her girlfriend brought Warhol to see them, and that's how that whole connection started. So like she was You know, and it's sad. You know, I talk about this all the time, and you'll attest to this. You'll fucking go to war here. You know, because of sadly, just because of the misogynistic nature of the beast that we exist in here. You know, she I think was in a lot of ways as creative and in a lot of ways maybe better than a lot of the people she was
Because she
around.
was a
Like she
living
was,
artist.
yeah,
Her
well,
art was
yeah,
herself, in a
exactly.
sense.
And her writing was pretty powerful. Her art was pretty good. It wasn't amazing, but I think had she pursued it more, it could have been. And I think because she was in the surrounded by people like Ginsburg and fucking, you name it. I mean, fucking, what was
Well,
that?
and Richard Hell in the same building too, right?
Yeah, but shit, I'm going way back. I'm
Yeah, you're
going
going to
back
the
to,
Warhol times. You're going to the 60s.
yeah, and like, what's his face? That fucking comedian that fucking lost his mind, went super political.
Lenny Bruce.
Yeah, she was like fucking around with it. I mean,
That one.
my mom like fuck like well, she was like you would appreciated her. She pretty much if you name them, she fucked them.
You
Like
know, I'm sure I saw her and you walking on
yeah,
First Avenue in front of that Italian coffee shop we used to go to a few times.
absolutely, absolutely. There's absolutely no way. I remember the first time that I knew who you were, but I remember the first time I saw you. I believe it was the Dead Boys show with the jar of crickets. You remember that one?
I have no idea. No, I
Okay,
don't.
well, that was the second set. You may not have been there for that set, but I remember them dedicating "I Need Lunch" to you and noticing who you were because somebody pointed out to me that that's Lydia Lunch over there, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I'm 12.
And it's a good thing you were only 12 or 14 at the time. Otherwise, snatch.
You
I
know,
had a, even I had an age limit being underage myself. Look, I met
yeah.
Stimulators on St. Mark's Place. We were pen pals, Cleveland to Rochester, before either of us lived in New York.
Wait, who was
Coley,
this?
Stiv Baders, before he was
Oh,
Stiv
okay,
Baders.
yeah, yeah,
We
of
met
course.
on St. Mark's Place in like 73.
Yeah, oh, damn, man, you really got me fucking beat. You know what? Well, I mean,
I do not have you beat.
well,
First of all, you're a black belt. I can't beat you.
well, it's just
I
like
only take on martial artists. I'm not taking you on.
it's just crazy though because like I only like the only people I know who have share that same history are literally, it's like people like you and people like Cheetah and people like
Bill,
yeah, there's so fucking like Phil, you know what I'm saying? And it's like there's because I was so insanely young that I shouldn't have even been any I mean, you guys were all young as shit, but I shouldn't have even been
you are, yeah, you seem to be a little young.
I shouldn't even have been around y'all. So I've had people ask me how am I still around when everybody is either shit to bed or like really fucking burnt. And I'm like,
You
well,
are a freaking miracle. No, Harley, I'm going
well,
to say this.
I think
You've
it's also because
been
I was
in,
young,
but
you know.
What's
that's
that?
what?
I think it was also because a little, I was younger, so I have a little bit more time. Like, you know what I'm
Well,
saying?
I think you had a point to make that you went from what it was with your mother, Bohemian, Warhol, Ginsburg, 7, 9 year old, 12-year old in a band, hardcore maniac, junkie, but also bringing hardcore because you did to New York, falling into the gutter, and then the fact that you climbed back out and you are in your best time. You are in the best of your life now.
I agree.
I respect that.
I agree. I will say I climbed up, but I fell back down like a few times, which makes it even more interesting because usually, you usually don't climb back, and each time I've climbed back up, I've climbed further up. I mean, so I feel like So honestly, I'm always fucking worried.
I love the part. Sorry, excuse me. I love the part in your documentary when this gal said it might be your baby. It wasn't, but you went and rescued this child out of a crack house, and then got straight to take care of it, and then it was confiscated by the grandparents. But that was, I mean, that's an amazing thing because you don't. I don't have children. You have two sons, and you had a child that wasn't yours that you rescued, who then came to your shows later on.
Yeah, yeah.
And you didn't want a child to have the life you had, which is why I
Well,
don't have any
also,
children.
You know, to be fair, I also was just like, if I walk away right now, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen to this child. If I leave her in the room with these people, I actually don't know what's going to happen to her. So I couldn't.
How old were you then? What year was that?
Oh God, this was in the 90s.
That's fine.
So
That was a very bold and compassionate move because, I mean, you didn't even know if it was your kid, and then it wasn't.
Well, no, I was actually pretty. At that point, I was pretty 100% sure. If there was any question in my mind that it was, that shouldn't even have been a thought in my head. I was pretty damn sure it wasn't. But that wasn't really the point. That's just the point was it's just like I don't know what's gonna happen if I leave this kid here. Like I literally actually don't know what's gonna happen.
Do you think part of it was your subconscious too, using that as a not a tool is the wrong word, but as another thing to help save yourself? Like basically, it was a mechanism to also help yourself and
Save the child and yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You have this
Well,
bond.
it was definitely a little bit of self-healing involved in trying to rescue someone other than myself, but it wasn't so obviously self-serving in that manner. I mean, it really was kind of like, to be honest, if I think if any of us walked into an apartment and saw even an animal being not fed or not or abused or just like in a cage in a pile of shit, you'd be like, yo, I'm taking that fucking dog and you're not stopping me. You'd be like, yo, I'm taking that fucking cat and fuck you. You don't deserve to have that cat.
And even bigger, I'm taking that baby.
Exactly. So fucking do the math. You know what I'm saying? So like it wasn't even like that. And I basically left with the message of like, you know, you tell her mother when she gets her shit together to come talk to me. Until then, I got nothing for her. You know, and I basically sad shit was she didn't even really try to reach out to me for quite some time. And then when she did, it was still just like, yo, show me that you got your shit together type of shit. Because I don't want to have you keep coming around and keep being a fucking whack job mess and keeping having episodes every time you come into the picture.
Harley, I want to ask you this. Like, we know if we read the book, or if, which is great, or if we what. And by the way, number one in martial arts on Amazon. Hang on, what?
Yesterday and today, by the way.
What's that?
I spoke to the kid today and yesterday, who's not a kid. She's like fucking 30 now. So.
I ain't a kid. Anyone that reads the book or sees the documentary, okay, it's like the trajectory was so immense and the road was rough. And perhaps because I always feel this way about anybody that has too much trauma or too much testosterone, that any kind of sports discipline can actually help put that. But the question beyond that is this: we know if we read the book and watch the documentary, what happened in this of your life, and you speak a little in the book about, you know, like your other relatives beyond that were all kind of very interesting. But I feel, and let me know if you do, beyond the life we know of our parents or grandparents, all of history's agony is in our bloodline. And sometimes that is also what fucks us up. And we don't even know that that's part of the repetition that we follow, part of the cycle we're in.
I have heard about inherited trauma. I don't know much about it, but I have heard that it is actually something that is true and exists. I mean, I know that, you know, I know you can inherit it just from environmental and communal and everything else, but
and bloodline and DNA.
Biologists
also.
Well, biologists, the foundation of that theory is instincts. So, like a cat won't drink out of still water sometimes. You know, there's certain things that animals won't do, and they just entered the earth. And no one told them shit. So
well, there's some things humans will do that they shouldn't do that have been done before a million times.
Yeah. So then why the fuck did I make so many goddamn mistakes? No.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you why. To be living proof that there is reparation.
Well, I'm still working
and creation.
I wouldn't say I'm the proof of anything except that I keep getting up, no matter how many times I keep falling on my face. So I'm living proof of stubbornness. Triumphs at least
relentlessness
at least for the moment.
But do you think there's an element of Stockholm syndrome?
I'm sorry, but that's really what I respect about you, because we both have that. We're like relentless, we're stubborn, and I love when I said to you, well, hardcore versus hardcore, you said, hey, it's all art, and I'm like, Yeah, buddy. Because I'm like, we need to do something hardcore, which is you, versus hardcore, which is me. And you're like, it's all hard. And I'm like, you get it, my friend.
Well, to me, it's just when you take something to an extreme place,
Because
and
it
that
has to be taken there.
yeah, and that doesn't necessarily mean like you don't got to be like Gigi Allen and shit on yourself. It just is,
Fuck him. I hated him.
so did I too. I told him I made it very clear I'd beat his ass somehow without touching him if I ever came in contact because I won't fucking go anywhere near that motherfucker.
I
But
ignored him completely. Fuck off.
if I would have fucking whatever. I would have hurled a garbage can at him. Some shit. I don't know what. But
Well, I don't like somebody that threatens to kill themselves and then waits. And I also thought if he didn't do if he doesn't if he didn't do shitty music and bad on people, take it to the kitchen or a performance stage. Don't do shitty music and shit on people. You're shitting twice. I can't take it.
I thought he was just a wannabe,
Whatever.
a no talent wannabe Steve Bators who had to take things that far because he wasn't actually artistic or creative or interesting. Whereas Steve was creative, artistic, talented, and interesting. So he didn't need to shit
And a very
on
nice guy.
And a very nice guy. You know?
And Sonic Reducer is one of the best rock songs ever written. Hello, Cheetah and Steve. Come on.
I'll tell you, man, that fucking first album was fucking such a great album. Still to this day, I still listen to that shit.
I want to ask you because we're talking about like where it can go with transgression, and particularly in the hardcore or the more aggressive rock scene. I think of punk and hardcore. I actually do think of Compassion. I mean, the Bad Brains, all this stuff. But then, of course, there are it diverges into neo-Nazi skinhead bands.
I was about to say I don't get much compassion out of hardcore, me myself.
Okay, you don't. But and I can't prove this, but one of my theories with the neo-Nazi skinhead bands and all that stuff is a mass incarceration in this country, and a lot of their dads and stuff went to jail, or they went to jail and they joined some Nazi gang or something. But
there's a little bit of that's true, to a certain extent.
But coming from your background and then inevitably running into some of those guys along the way sometimes, if outsiders are beating up punks and you look different, and then you start hanging in your inner circle and then you find a few of those guys, how did you approach that historically? Or maybe you didn't.
Well, you got to remember, this is like most of you people don't realize this because you didn't know anything until you learned about skinheads on like talk shows and the news. That was like most people's beginning. So they don't have any historical reference or any actual understanding.
In this country, especially, right?
Exact shit, So their idea is what was presented by Hollywood and American History X and all this other bullshit. So for those people out there, I will just say simple. Do a search on YouTube and write skinhead reggae or skinhead ska.
Ska, right.
And basically, you're going to get a crash course in the fact that the entire evolution of skinhead music and even the style of dressing and everything else came from rude boys and Jamaicans and all the immigrants who were moving to all the poor neighborhoods in England, which were also a lot of working class white boys who started listening to that music at the clubs, dancing to that music, dressing like rude boys. And that started slowly over time merging with all the traditional normal English shit like football hooliganism, which is just a part of the
Chelsea smile. I mean,
so you just wind up getting like tough, poor white boys getting into that type of style, that type of culture. And it wasn't actually until like 77, around that period, when the National Front and the British movement started slowly trying to infiltrate the work, well, because what happened was they were making a statement, and just kind of like today with what the right wing conservatives and all those extremists. Today is really not very different than it was in like say the late 70s or 80. Just like that wasn't very different from the 60s.
Or the 40s, or the 1700s.
Exactly. So things go in cycles, right? And so if you do that search, like I said, for all you brainiacs who think you know all about skinheads and what they represent, just type in fucking skinhead reggae or skinhead ska and let your jaw fall the fuck off your face. Okay? Because actually skinheads were the first, quote unquote, and I use the term loosely, wiggers.
Hey, I use that all the time because being one myself, I find it an insult.
And black
I'm a wigger.
So, how that slowly turned in punk rock and hardcore and everything else is, look, I grew up in a non-white neighborhood, and I will tell you that white kids in a non-white neighborhood are either number one, the bottom of the food chain. You're the ones that gets messed with the most, and you either deal with that by assimilating and trying to be just like everybody around you,
Violating or shutting down.
or you get, or you shut down, or like in my case, you get extra tough. So for me, that was just, and I think for a lot of working class kids who grew up in neighborhoods that were progressively getting less and less white and so on and so forth, it was I don't think it was so much racism as much as it was like proving yourself. At least for me, it wasn't.
Like, Harley, I grew up in an all-black ghetto till I moved to New York. I mean, there was one other white family. So I learned kind of, which is why in New York, I think I was never bothered because I already knew how to slap box. Thank you very much. I praise the 6-foot tall black girls that taught me that. And also, I do think in some instances, being a solo woman, which I was often walking the streets all hours, I felt safer than I would have if I was with a man who might be harassed by another guy.
I gotta say that surprises me, but I also respect you're just you're a badass, Lydia. You're always
You're a badass. I say badass to badass.
No, but I'm not bullshit, man, because these guys don't get it, because that neighborhood was fucking scary as fuck growing up in, man.
It was Beirut on the Hudson. It was Beirut on the East River.
One of the guys who's in my film, Jocko Willink, he was a Navy SEAL who led like the assault in Ramadi and all kinds of crazy shit. And he came down to my neighborhood back in the day, right? And he was like, "Your neighborhood was like a war zone." I said to him,
"You have no idea." Yeah.
And I was like, "I've never been to a war zone." He's like, "Well, I have, and I will tell you, because it was like burnt out buildings, burnt up cars all over the fucking place."
Holes in the wall for drugs.
Like people handing bags of dope.
Blackout of 77. Nobody knows what that was.
I remember that shit. And the garbage strike, which happens the same fucking summer.
And the Son of Sam.
And the Son of Sam.
Speaking of Son of Sam, Michael Imperioli, who we've had on this, we've done shows with him. He's in your documentary as well.
Yeah, I fucking love him, man.
Great guy, man.
He was kind of like working as my shrink until I actually got one. It was fucked up because the dude's so cool that he was actually called me back and be like, "What's going on, Harley?"
Very nice guy.
Good impersonation. Good. You actually hit it.
Played with us. He's played with us a few times. So Tim Dahl is like premier bass player as well as you're a multi-instrumentalist, drums, but whatever you need to pick up bass. Tim studied under Yusuf Lateef, and I know you have a wide understanding of all kinds of music, which your mother gave you.
I have to credit my mom really and my Aunt Denise for my music.
Stimulators.
Yeah, because both of them, and my Aunt Denise is a musician. Also, to be fair, my grandfather was a classically trained pianist, played flute and clarinet. My grandmother played piano, and they were all very open-minded when it came to music. Everything, like I grew up with my grandparents always listening to everything from, classical music to my grandfather was Dominican too, so he listened to Spanish music and fucking classical, and they listened to World War II era jazz and all that shit. And Denise knew, she was on the Rolling Thunder tour with Bob Dylan. So like the music was always.
Denise, your aunt, who was the Stimulators, basically.
Yeah, she was really, in a lot of ways, I credit her to being like the godmother of what we call New York hardcore, because she kind of gave me a platform, and they allowed my influence to influence some of those songs, which I think in their own right were the beginning.
Precursors. Yeah.
It was kind of a transition.
Right.
It wasn't hardcore yet, but
it was hard. It was tough.
I started pushing their songs into a faster place. So
but already at 12, you're an accomplished drummer. When did you start? In the womb? What were you doing? Battering the fucking fallopians? Come on now.
Pretty much. Now, you know what? I think my mom just had it in her head that I was going to be some sort of an artist.
And you had it in your blood. You had it.
And it was in my blood. And quite frankly, someone asked me this shit the other day at one of these Q&As again. you know, about that. And I told him, I was like, look, I think all kids have creative, um, have the
Urges.
ability. Yeah, if there's not one kid out there who doesn't like to draw, there's not one kid out there who doesn't like to build stuff or create stuff. If they're just given the opportunity to do that and explore it and have fun with it, I guarantee you that that's going to be something that they explore and gravitate towards
Sure.
and have fun with. It's when you start taking it away or start forcing them to learn shit that doesn't matter to them or isn't interesting to them that then you start shutting down those creative urges. And for better or for worse, I'd like to think of the better aspects instead of the worst ones. My mother and the people around her always nurtured those things instead of shut them down, and especially my aunt Denise, who knew that my mother wasn't really affording me a fucking shot in hell other than the environment to be creative. So Denise really kind of gave me the platform to do that and helped me pursue it where my mother wouldn't have been able to.
Well, what's interesting is who teaches anyone how to be a parent, especially in that period of
Oh yeah,
your mother birthing you? But what's interesting is, and I don't know it, but I feel it, that you became a better parent than your mother was. And especially having a father
the
that you
bar
heard
wasn't
from
set very
twice.
fucking high. I hate to say, but
Was it?
I said I hate to say, but the bar was not set very high.
Yeah, but
But you're aware, and just being aware and conscious of what, as you just explained, what you could take that was positive and what you could reject as
Yeah,
you view
yeah,
as negative is a huge step.
absolutely. No, no. You know what? I made plenty of mistakes parenting, especially in the early ages. But me and my kids are really close, and we're super cool with each other. And you know,
and you need that. And it really is something that does help fill the void that was left.
yeah, and something that I would like to prevent them having in their own way. And hopefully, in the process, I'm undoing some of the damage, or if not undoing, at least helping them find the skills to deal with whatever trauma that I'm as a parent. Yeah,
That life and you give them, yeah.
yeah, and
But
all
look,
parents
this is what's interesting, Harley, too. A lot of people have a kid, it could ruin their fucking life. You had kids, and it actually might have saved you in some way.
hey, you know what? Some people could say that about prison too. You know?
Oh, interesting.
Hello.
Hey, is that a punchline or is that like an insight?
You
Well,
know,
you know what? It's fucked up because my friend, a good friend of mine, this dude Sammy, he was singing for this band Fang, and
bang.
yeah, Fang, and he actually first time I met him was back at Max's. He was only a couple years older than me. He was like 16, and he was selling acid at the time. He came from like a Deadhead
When it
family
was good.
back when it was good.
It was real.
Man, oh man, you kidding me? Don't get me going. I used to fucking
Well,
like shoot window pane, man. I fucking love that shit.
I didn't shoot it, but I ate a lot of it myself.
Oh,
Thank you.
oh my good
I think
credit.
it did
Oh,
expand.
oh, man, that shit was like I used to eat it like M&Ms, man. But anyway, so fucking yeah, Sammy. Well, he it's not like I'm telling anything I shouldn't that isn't out there, so I could just say it. He accidentally, or well, let's just say in a fit of rage, wound up killing his girlfriend.
Uh,
Now, the things that led to it were when you go through step by step, it's not like it's condonable, any of it, but you can sort of start wrapping your head around the type of drama and trauma that would lead to something like that potentially happening. And of course, it starts with lots of drugs, lots of no sleep, lots of
toxicity,
yeah, lots of
arguments.
people fucking around, people walking in on each other, doing things, just all the hostility and violence that can lead to the type of eruption where you could see someone who might have started off as a good person being so out of their fucking mind that before they know it, something really bad happens. Now, it's impossible to devalue the horror in any way, shape, or form. And you know what?
Justify it at all,
Yeah, and
but
you know what? And he owns it just like that. He's that fucking open about it. He's like, and he's like, but going to prison was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. He's like, what happened to get me there was like
did he get
horrible.
out?
Oh, he's been out,
Okay.
and he actually works with victims of
Okay.
domestic violence, and he
Well, amazing.
and he works with drug addicts. He's a counselor at
I
AA,
mean, it's
NA, and he had his
turning
protest.
the beat around. I mean, that's what
You
we
know,
do.
I fucking love this brother, and it's like what brought him to that place is horrific. But when you understand the type of depravity that goes on with drug use and the type of, come on, me and you grew up in a world where it was normal for like two drug addicts to be supported by one of them who was a prostitute, who was doing this and doing that. And before you know it, he's cheating on her and he's beating on her and this and that. And everything it could wrong is going wrong. And the next thing you know, it's just like sitting
Well,
there.
and also people have to understand in these kind of toxic relationships, there is a cycle that continues. It's like the Coney Island of the mind. It just goes, it repeats itself in a
Yeah.
cycle that until you recognize it and you can't jump off it, you're on it, sometimes till the bitter end.
Yeah, yeah, you know what? And I was in a relationship that was actually the mother of that young baby that you were talking
Yeah.
about, Eric, that child. Her mother and me were really in a spiraling place where I knew I was actually just talking about this with my wife yesterday. Like, something inside me said, I got to get the fuck out of Dodge because I'm dying if I stick around. And I knew that she was at a point in her life where she was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to keep doing as much drugs as I can possibly do as often as I can do. We've all known people like that who like started off, people with hope, people that you could love, people that had, something beautiful about them.
Harley, I want to connect this because I want to connect it with the music you're raised with and the diversity and this person that this happened to that spiraled out of control and didn't come back. Jaco Pastorius, you own one of his bases.
I do, in fact, do that. Yes.
So you do own that. I'm curious how you got it. Second, did you ever see him on a spiral downwards,
I did.
homeless in the park?
Yes. I had a couple Jocko instances like that, sadly. But, and at the time, I didn't even know who the fuck he was because it was before I realized, hadn't connected the dots because he was so fucking out of his mind. Like one time, he was like fucking. I was tripping the first time I saw him. So it was just bizarre. I was in Washington Square Park, and there was this old dude who used to walk around playing jazz on a big radio that was like on wheels that he'd push around. And he comes in and he's playing fucking Teen Town. And all of a sudden, this fucking drunk motherfucker comes fucking wilding around the corner. I'm in that dome right there, right? And I'm tripping my face off. All of a sudden, this barefoot motherfucker comes running around. I wrote this. I wrote this song. And I'm sitting there. And I'm like,
Amazing.
yeah, and I'm like, there's no fucking way. And I'm just like sitting to myself, just like, and then all of a sudden he starts air basing it. And because I'm
Which, by the way, air bass is a unique imaginary instrument. We see people air guitaring and karaoke, but air bass, unique.
I was tripping, and I could see as a bass player, I was like, he is hitting all those notes, and he's just like, and I'm like, did he write this song? Like I did one of those
He said he did. He said he did.
And then by the time he walked out, and then I'm like looking at the face of the guy who's got the radio, and he just had this heartbroken look on his face, and he's just like looking at Jocko, and he's just like shaking his head, like, "Damn, Jocko," and I'm just like, "Oh my God, he did write that shit."
Wow.
So that was like my first encounter with him, and then another time I remember he was naked, pouring a Foster's over his head, and these two chicks.
Wait. We repeat that one more. He was naked, pouring a Foster's over his head.
Yeah, and these two chicks trying to get him into a cab that was on like 7th Street.
Oh,
And that was the last time I saw him. And I got his bass because he traded it to. Do you remember this black dude Twilight who did like custom leather clothes?
I don't know. I didn't know him. I was in and out of New York. I wasn't there the whole time. But
he was in the Rolling Stones video that was they filmed out St. Mark's Place. Anyway, he's on the stoop sitting next to Keith in the mix.
Of course.
And but anyway, so Jocko traded him his bass for an 8-ball.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and he was like, "You want this bass?" He didn't play bass, and I was like, and I needed a new bass, and I was like, I think I gave like $50 for it. He wanted 100. I only had like 50 or some shit. I gave
Now,
him that.
what year was this? Because 50 could be a lot of money in a certain year, you know?
Well, for fucking me, it was. It was like 80.
Yeah.
84, 85?
No, this was like 80. I got that in like 86.
So
It's
just
a lot of money
right
when
before he
you got
died.
done.
Right before he died.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. It was like 85.
Okay.
84, 85, because it was right before I fucking recorded Age of Quarrel, because that's the bass that I played on that record.
It was it fretless? No.
No.
Guys,
Ibanez gave it to him when he played in Japan with Weather Report. It was actually a fucking Ibanez musician, which was not his bass of choice.
right, but it's a good bass.
It's a great bass. It's
Yeah, exactly.
It's in the fucking punk rock museum and wherever the fuck.
Las Vegas?
Exactly.
I thought so.
But so anyway, I played that on my first record. I did. I actually I contacted Ibanez to see if they had the serial number that they could prove that they gave it to him, but they hadn't started logging the serial numbers yet, because it was so fucking long ago. But I went and I did all the legwork. But it was his. I know this for a fact because he traded it to my friend for a fucking 8 ball of coke.
So
Great
horrifying.
story.
And you got it, and that's what's
I got it.
I love this thing you said in your documentary, Harley, where you said, sometimes there's just static in the head or voices in the head, just like noise. But you said now you're at the point where you're just trying to listen to the music of the universe instead of the static. Like listen to a freaking bird, like listen to the quiet. And when you reach that point, I love silence. I love being alone. I love quiet. I got no problems being there with you. We in silence. I think when you can reach that point of being alone in silence, you have achieved something most people can't, because they can't stand to be alone in silence.
To be fair, those moments don't last very long. It's a thing that happens, and I try to hold on to it for as long as I can. And I know how precious that is when it happens, and where it's really at a place where my mind actually feels liberated. And the only way I can liken it, if I was trying to explain it, like the way I'm listening to the sound of the universe, I'm listening to it as if it's a piece of music that I've never heard, and therefore I don't know what instruments are going to make what sounds and in what placement, and I don't even know what instruments they're going to be. I just kind of keep a completely open mind to what is sonically happening without putting a label on it, like bird, plane, this, that. I just kind of, and again, it doesn't last very long, but when I am able to just think of it more in a musical way than in a what's happening way.
Yeah.
Well, because it is a bigger piece of what we are all connected to, which in our isolation or in our containment or in the way that others have suppressed or oppressed or repressed us, which shuts that out, that connection to a greater thing, whatever you want to call it. And I know you have your own spiritual beliefs that you've been, as well as a vegetarian for many years, or Christian, whatever. But once you can break out of the prison you have been put in by other people's containment of you and the toxic damage they have done, and you can shut your mouth and open yourself
That's
to
what I'm trying.
something greater that is a possible musical note, if you want to call it that,
No.
then there is peace there. There is then peace.
Like that. That's really, for me, the meditative state is, and they say, I love when they get brought into it, but that the sound Om is supposed to be the origin of all sound. And if you really, I've had that state where everything kind of mushed into just like between the breathing and the rhythm of my breathing, my heart rate, and those interruptions of sound coming out of nowhere. I can almost get into that zone where it all turns into that mush that becomes, for lack of a better word,
because it puts the beast to sleep, but you're still awake.
And that's and when you can grab onto that for a fucking minute, man, hold on to that motherfucker's tail. Because that shit don't happen often. When it does, it's funny because that was one of the an Allen Ginsberg moment. I remember when I was a kid, him trying to explain to me about meditation. And
try to explain that to a kid. It's almost impossible. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's funny.
You grabbed onto it, didn't you?
I did, because I still remember it. Like, very specifically, I remember what exactly he said. And it made sense to me then. I just couldn't really apply it. But the fact that he attempted at, we sat there in lotus position, and he was like, he taught me about breathing and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, whenever you have a thought, try to think of it as if you were watching. He's like, clear your head of all thoughts. And if you have a thought interrupts your head, you think of it like you're watching a silent movie and just label what it is. Or no, say thinking. He just said thinking. And just try to get it out of your head. So like whenever you catch yourself thinking, just literally say thinking.
Let it go. Yeah.
And you know what? To this day, that one still helps a little bit.
Well, I mean, Yoga Nidra and Einstein, that point when you're just about to fall asleep but you're still awake, and right. Einstein said he solved a lot of his theories in that moment.
Some of my best fucking moments of clarity and like some of the best not just realizations but best decision making has happened right then, to where the point where I actually have to fucking get up.
You have to get up. But the frustrating part, though, sometimes, because it's hard to actually capture it, because sometimes it just disappears. It's like catching water. You're like, oh, no.
You have to grab on then. I also sometimes will just, let go and be like, if it's really what I believe it is if it's that important, I'm going to be able to tap into this again. So just relax and be comfortable.
I used to write a lot of my longer monologues in my sleep. That's when I did sleep in longer periods than I do now, which is 2-hour sessions. Wake up, go back to sleep. I would write whole monologues. I'm like, who's writing that shit? Somebody's doing it. Whatever.
Did you know Arthur Russell, since you were rolling with Ginsberg? Did you? He was living in that building later, I think. Right?
The name sounds familiar. But
he was cellist. He died of AIDS, but he was the cellist that was kind of Ginsberg took under his wing, and but I don't know.
Remember a cellist.
Yeah,
there were so many people in and out of there. I mean, and you also got to remember that when you're a kid, the adults, especially when they're a bunch of like grungy older adults, are really kind of meaningless to you. Like, when you see William Burroughs sitting in your kitchen, you aren't like, oh my God, it's William Burroughs. You're just like, ew. They all smell like fucking cigarettes. half of them are fucking drunks. Gregory Corso, I'm like, oh, fuck off. Just leave me alone.
John Jornos joins from morning to night. I never met anybody smoke more pot than that.
Just get the fuck away. Like, stop hugging me. Stop kissing me. Hello. You fucking gross grown up.
You know what? You're never gonna say that to me once I start hugging and kissing. You're gonna say it's about time. What took so long? What took so long? Hardcore versus hardcore together at last.
What's your? I mean, may I be bold enough to say you look like you're in tremendous great shape. What's
flex for me, baby? Come on.
Do you have what's your daily routine? What's your do you have a?
Not bad.
I mean, it's diet and exercise and.
Yeah, diet, exercise, and a lot of that, because I fell off throughout my life in different stages for a few years at a time. It happened, I'm like a repeated offender, and the problem is I really like getting fucked up. I really like, I'm a fuckaholic, partyholic, musicaholic. I'm an addict to to feeling well, to feeling
a good time.
Yes. And the thing is, I'm a
fuckaholic. Can you just say that to me one more time? You're a fuckaholic. Hello, honey doll.
I got
don't even put a challenge on the table like that. You're married, I'm not. Come on. I'm going to talk to your wife about this
No,
controversy.
I got problems. Like and you know,
I bet you don't.
I really like
I might actually be making Harley Flanagan blush. I am proud of myself today. Whoa.
if there's anybody that could, I knew it'd be you. So I came here. I came here prepared to blush. I knew it was
I
going to
love you, my brother. I'm so proud of you. I really am. You are
No,
amazing. Go ahead.
but run with that, because at some point, and you've already tapped into it in terms of capturing that moment of peace and calmness, even though you've clearly rebelled or distracted yourself against that, to filling up all the spaces with fucking, partying, interacting, performing. The list goes on. So,
I smoke pot like I'm trying to smoke like the last plant on the earth. I do smoke weed. I do microdose on mushrooms here and there.
That's good for you, though.
I find that it is for me, and I think that in the right circumstance, it can be helpful. Sometimes I'd say, yeah, okay, I've been doing this a little much. Let me stop. I think if it's used in the appropriate way, it can be helpful, especially for, and you know what, to be fair, it took me a lot of years of thinking about doing it before I tried.
What the dose was.
Well, not even just that. I got really bad fucking PTSD, and I used to trip balls. Like, I used to shoot acid. I used to take window panes and dissolve them in water and fucking bang them shits.
Nuts, honey.
Yeah, I used to drop the shit in my eyes, and I used to fucking I did I fell into the bucket. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because life rushed in upon you at a very early age.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of shit that was just too fucking hard to bear. So where do you go? I'm going to give you one of my lines, Harley. This is where you're at now. To fill the void within, only the self will suffice. We reach this realization only after we've stuffed every hole, every orifice with an indiscriminate amount of useless junk, unforgettable fucks, etc. I'm just saying.
All right.
I was never even a heroin addict. I did it twice. I didn't like it. I'm just saying, but I know the void.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you the problem with heroin, you would relate to more than anything, is it's one of the few things that actually really kind of can shut your fucking brain off, like off, which is why it's terrible that even when I was, right before I started seeing a shrink, when I was really having real fucking bad PTSD, I was like plowing through fucking like a half a bottle of vodka every night, just trying to get the fuck to sleep because I was having repeated just like fucking memories.
The brain, they just like a Rolodex.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like flashbacks because she explained to me later that flashbacks you actually think it's happening, and it wasn't like I was.
It wasn't even the good shit; it was the bad shit.
Yeah, of course, So, but
if you don't mind, how long have you been? Because I think it's very important. I did my documentary, Artist Depression, Anxiety, and Rage. How long have you been in therapy? And it seems it has to be helping.
Well, I wouldn't still be doing it if I didn't think it was. Like, I started doing therapy like right before we started doing the documentary because I knew I was going to be addressing a lot of things that would be not only difficult to talk about, but a lot of shit that I probably wouldn't know how to really talk about. Or
Wired for Chaos, beautifully done and so important to so many people. Really, really is.
It's funny actually that you mention it because the first interview I did with the director, I hadn't started seeing my therapist yet. Then I started seeing her, and the first time I spoke to him, I was just a miserable, mean motherfucker. Like I remember being like, "I don't fucking talk about this." Like you don't, I was just like, "I don't fucking talk about this with this motherfucker." Like I was really just kind of in that headspace.
Well, the poison makes you mean. Poison makes you mean.
I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. It's like like. Don't try to fucking understand me, motherfucker.
Don't tell me what I am.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Just like, when you just want to be like, get the fuck out of here. And that's kind of how my first interview went with him. By the time that's when I realized I needed to fucking talk to somebody and learn how to let my guard down and learn how to just talk about things that were going to be difficult because this was not going to be easy or even worth attempting otherwise. I was like, there's no fucking point in trying to make a documentary if I'm going to sit here and be a pissed off motherfucker from A to Z and not even.
And you certainly are not. I mean, it's a very compassionate, expose of your entire existence. And also, therapy, I think what's the benefit of therapy is that it gives you a dumping ground that is not on your friends or your family
who will not stay your friends if that's what you use them for.
And my subtitle to my documentary was "My Wonderful Friends, Those Miserable Cunts." But I love them. I don't have depression and anxiety. I'm just saying, I had to make the documentary for everybody else. There will be tears. There are tears, but we have to tell the truth. This is what actually is bringing us together now, all these years, because we're still alive. Hardcore versus hardcore. I can't wait for the spoken word shows we're going to do. Oh, yeah.
Man. Well, you
Put
know
that
what?
on the stage, baby.
We actually should do a tag team spoken word someday because I am.
You know what? Since no one will let us open for them, we're going to open for each other.
What
I'll go on first. I don't care.
Amazing. You know what? I'll flip a coin and I don't give a fuck where I go.
You know what? Why don't
December
you just
26th.
flash,
December
flash an
26th.
ass crack.
Lydia,
well,
Lydia's and I are performing December 26th. So either, no matter what that is, you're literally
TBI,
invited.
it's murderous again. I'm
going to
sending
put
you.
that on my calendar. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to promise anything without looking at it first.
You don't have to promise anything. But anyway, I think we got similar things to say.
Too fucking many.
I just started writing my Lydian dictionary for my show tomorrow night, which is like, I have to send that to you. It's just, I'm starting now, and trust me, it starts with the letter fucking T. T. Hello.
Oh my God.
You know what? We're here. We ain't going away. Fuck all y'all. We did what we did, and we're still doing it. Stubborn, relentless, artistic, traumatized, but you know what? No.
I don't know how the fuck either of us are walking, and I'm just grateful to be because I'm really having the best time of my life for the first time. And ironically, you know, it's so fucking funny, man, because I missed that son of a bitch, Bourdain. You really said it so well in that show because, you know, I tell people all the time, everybody likes to romanticize that shit. And it's like
somebody. And he's talking about Anthony Bourdain, who, by the way, look, he read something I wrote for somebody else. He had seen Teenage Jesus. That's it. I'm like, hey, you got a lot of catching up to do, son. So he approached me like, will you do the show? And I'm like, will you write an intro for my book?
Yeah.
So we did. And I'm the only one that ever narrated the intro for his show. So go ahead. And yet you're on it. You are training his daughter.
I was, yeah. Well, you know what?
About that. So go on with that for a minute. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, he what the fuck was I saying about his ass?
Anthony Bourdain.
Well, you miss him. You miss him was the first
thing.
Yeah,
first of all, I missed that son of a bitch. But what you were saying on his show resonated with me so much because, you know, people like to romanticize that time and stuff like that. And just the other day, I got sent a photo book that a friend of mine, Drew Carolyn, did. It's great stuff from the early 80s, late 70s, all over the city. And you know what? I'm content to look at the photos in the fucking book because if you couldn't offer me enough fucking money to go fucking live in that apartment again for any duration of time.
$75 a month on 12th Street, exactly.
You couldn't pay me enough motherfucking money to go live on 12th Street and Avenue A again for like a month. You actually couldn't. You couldn't fucking.
We were this close to each other, you know. I was on between A and B. We're that close.
Yeah, I lived right 2 flights below Richard Hell.
I wish I could. I would have loved to step in and beat up a whole gang of Puerto Rican troublemakers in honor. Like, this is my son. Leave him alone. Okay, he might be the same age. No, fuck off.
Yeah, man. I wish I would have had a big sister like you back then. Are you fucking crazy? I would have felt a little.
Got safer. One now, baby. And by the way, in your doc, when you're talking about knives, I got a bucket of knives beside my bed, but my favorite one is a little tiny Filipino. Cut your fucking head off. I'm just saying. I'm not a jiu-jitsu master, but the only people I will ever take on in a fight are martial artists because I just deliver the throat punch. Not to you, of course. It's going to be a throat hug. Hello. Harley, I am so glad you are alive, my friend. You are a testament to the true meaning of hardcore, which is compassion after trauma.
Well, you know what? Compassion is like, that was just a throwback thing because I was raised by hippies. It's not something I really try to embrace. It's just something that's in me somewhere. It's like bone marrow. It's just, I can't help it, you know.
And it is what saved you, my friend, because you have, even in your worst of times, somewhere in there was that worm of
Yeah,
compassion.
somewhere, and you know
I know
what?
you're grimacing.
Yeah, it's a tough pill for me, that one. But yeah, it's there. It's kind of like a, uh, you
Well,
know.
because look, when you've been fucked over, fucked around with, traumatized, you know you are not alone. And there are other people, which is why we do what we do, that need to hear that they are not alone. And that's why hardcore will be like a verbal wrestling matches will be
No,
better than fucking Macho Man versus
yeah.
even Ric Flair, maybe. If you
I
want to
think
wear a boa, I'm just saying, I'm not sure.
oh
You said you like Wayne Jane County. Maybe you'll wear a
yeah.
boa.
Oh hell yeah! I got no problems with boas. I love
I
boas.
got no problem with
All
boas,
snakes.
especially constrictions. You bring your boa, I'll bring you a boa. Oh my God.
Okay,
Harley, thank you so much, my friend.
my dude.
The
Thank you so much.
documentary is amazing. It is out there. Oh, by the way, how did it did you went to Barcelona to show it at the Barcelona Film Festival?
Yeah, we had. It was called the In Edit Film Festival. It was amazing. The thing was sold out, and I couldn't believe the type of reception. I felt like a bona fide movie star of some sort. You know, it
When
was.
when they showed The War Is Never Over, the documentary Beth beat it on me, it won the audience award in Barcelona. I'm like,
They
hello, they
really
know film.
they appreciate art.
Artist.
You
Yep.
know, and it was just a. So anyway, this has been a really amazing year. I toured South America. I went to Europe a bunch of
And
times.
what were you doing in South America? Were you rocking hard? What were you
Yeah, no,
doing?
I was playing. I toured my band. I was between touring
So
and
is it just called Harley Flanagan now?
no, I'm Cro-Mags all day, man.
Well, you're the real, not you're the Cro-Mag, not the Fomag.
Yeah. No, that was like a momentary thing that had to get
Okay.
resolved in the legal system, sadly. But for the record, my table is always set for guests. So if those guys ever feel like leaving their shitty shoes at the
So
door and
South
not walking.
America must have been great, though.
South America was amazing. It was it
They know
was
what's going on, man.
it was really. I felt like Menudo. It was unfucking believable. It was really.
I feel like Brujeria when I go there, but then I'm the real witch, so I don't know. I'm going to contact you about where to go in South America. Barcelona, I lived there for 8 years. Amazing place.
Beautiful,
And
what a
film
gorgeous
fest,
city.
such the best place,
I
really.
could really see how someone could live there.
Oh my God.
There's only a few cities that are like New York-ish enough that I could
But I
exist.
mean, no place is more beautiful than that.
That's what I'm saying. That's one of the top ones, really
And
up
you know
there.
what? The beauty can help when you have trauma or depression. Let's face it.
We need
If
more.
you can appreciate it.
They need more beauty in you. Play, go to Rome, go travel. I tell young people, try to, if you're staying in school, try to do some, go to school overseas, do some of that shit if you can, because in America you travel 2 hours and you're still in the same fucking state. In Europe,
Well, and the state of affairs right now, we know.
you're in a different country. You're learning, you're being exposed to different types of people all the time. You need more of that shit.
Absolutely. And I am saying, I mean, look, if America, many places are very different from every other place. But the thing is, the ignorance of this country is based on the fact
Yeah.
they do not respect or realize what Europe and every other country has gone through and the benefits of being in some place like Spain, Italy, whatever, healthcare, etc., beauty, hello, history, respected. We're in a tragic place right now in time. But you know what? As an apocalyptician, I'm like, welcome to my church, motherfuckers, because I'm not going to shut up the Dumpty Trumpty diaper wearing Don and his crew of ferrymen. By the way, if Pete Hegseth is not more gay than Lindsey Graham at a Tom of Finland revival meeting, I don't know what is. I'm just saying. This is the Lydian Spin with Lydia Lunch. Tim Dahl, Harley Flanagan, a real fucking badass fucking hero.
I love
The
you.
challenge is on, and we're gonna do it.
I was about to say we got to do it next year.
We're gonna talk about this.
We're gonna have something happen. I'll talk to you soon. We'll be in touch.
Nice meeting you, Harley.
This is the Lydian Spin, and we're not gonna stop.
But we would appreciate any help we can get because, look, our mouths do not run on gas and air alone, occasionally food and drink. So if you wouldn't mind contributing, no contribution, too large or too small, because we're just going to keep going whether or not you help us out. Your gain, your loss.
The PayPal is paypal.me/TSD1975. That's paypal.me/TSD1975.
It would help. We're going to keep going. You know, we don't like to beg, and certainly we're not, but actually, it's a fucking command. Take it or leave it. Thank you. This is the Lydian Spin.